Is this former WWE champion set to quit the company? And a member of the Elite has responded to CM Punk. But first, it was revealed in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter that a current AEW star was recently caught up in a road accident, walking away with a lucky escape. The report notes that last Thursday, the day after the Long Island edition of AEW Dynamite, Darby Allin was hit by a car, with them noting, Darby Allin was skateboarding in New York on 4/6 when he was hit by a car. He actually wrestled the next day. He had a road rash on his back and his side, but evidently nothing worse than that, which made him very lucky. Beyond the mark on his back, Allin escaped with no injuries, with him returning to in-ring action this past Wednesday on Dynamite, where he would defeat Swerve Strickland in singles action. Given Darby's lifestyle, the events of last Thursday was likely just another day at the office. WrestleMania main eventer Cody Rhodes has been going through a tough time on television as of late, having fell short in his showdown with undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns before being destroyed by the Beast Brock Lesnar the next night on Raw. With that said, it looks like the American Nightmare has been making strides to advance his career outside of wrestling, with Fightful Select last night reporting that he could be set to take on more television and movie roles, and they would note, sources familiar with the situation claim that Cody Rhodes made the most of his time in Los Angeles and had some meetings regarding potential roles in film and television. There was discussion of him being linked or particularly interested in the Johnny Cage role in an upcoming Mortal Kombat movie, which The Miz has also been angling for. There was also discussion regarding a connection to a potential upcoming Zelda film. Cody has been spotted on television shows in the past, most prominently in the Arrow series alongside Stephen Amell. He has noted in the past that prior to wrestling, he wanted to be an actor, something that appears to still be a goal of his going forward. Last night on AEW Rampage, two big upcoming matches were announced that have got fans talking. The first of which will see Switchblade Jay White wrestle his first match since signing for the company more than 1 week ago, with him set to take on AAA's Commander, with the bout set for this Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. The other match that was made official will see the return of the Broken Universe, this when Matt and Jeff Hardy team with Hook and Isaiah Cassidy to battle the firm's Big Bill, Lee Moriarty, Stokely Hathaway, and Ethan Page. The bout will go down at the Hardy compound in North Carolina, this the location for similar cinematic matches like the Final Deletion. This also seemingly brings us one step closer to the return of Broken Matt Hardy and the Brother Nero personas. At the time of recording, there's no known date for the match. Today on Twitter, self-proclaimed Bullet Club leader David Finlay Jr. would send a message to current and former stablemates, with him making reference to AEW's Bullet Club Gold faction, which currently consists of Jay White and Juice Robinson. The divide began when Finlay took out Switchblade on his way out of New Japan Pro Wrestling before taking over as leader of the group, this before White re-emerged in AEW. Regarding guys wearing club shirts in other companies, Finlay would cut a promo and say, "This is a quick message to my Bullet Club members past, present, and future. This weekend at the New Japan Strong pay-per-views, I will be in the building just in case anyone wants to challenge my leadership of my Bullet Club. Let's see if guys wearing club shirts in other companies are feeling as tough in person." Finlay would then name drop two former Bullet Club members specifically, those being Tama Tonga and the recently banished El Phantasmo, before revealing that a new name will be added to the group tonight at Capital Collision in Washington, DC. And he would say, "To ELP's replacement, I say this. We've been talking for weeks now and you keep telling me that you were ready, but this weekend, let's say at Capital Collision, the talking stops and you have to show me. You have to show me that you're sick of being overlooked and underappreciated just like I was. All this time and they've seen nothing in you, but not me. You do what needs to be done and I'll be there to welcome you into my Bullet Club." The WWE Money in the Bank event is heading to London, England this summer, with there being a number of candidates to leave with the Money in the Bank briefcases. Well, according to a new report from WRKD Wrestling on Twitter, the favourite for the men's match has now been revealed, despite their loss last night on SmackDown. After a series of accurate reports as of late, WRKD would tweet, "LA Knight has been discussed internally as the leading candidate to win this year's Money in the Bank match. #SmackDown." Last week, Triple H would announce that there will be a new draft in order to shake up Raw and SmackDown, with every WWE superstar eligible for selection. At the time, there was no date given for the event. However, on last night's episode of SmackDown, it was revealed that the draft will take place over 2 episodes of WWE television. The first part will be held in 2 weeks' time on the April 29th episode of SmackDown. This before the second and final part is held on the May 1st edition of Monday Night Raw. And speaking of SmackDown, one question that appears to be on the lips of fans following every WWE show as of late is how involved was Vince McMahon in creative, this following fan backlash over the Raw after WrestleMania, which saw the script ripped up right before the broadcast went on air. Well, according to PW Insider Elite, McMahon did play a role in last night's episode, although the chairman of the board was not in attendance at the show. However, he is said to have gone over the plans for the night, making several changes along the way, with the report adding that they have heard differing versions as to how deep the changes were, with us now awaiting more information. Last night, Drew McIntyre would pour fuel on speculation that he could be heading towards the WWE exit, with his contract reportedly set to expire in the near future. The incident would see the Scottish Warrior black out his Twitter profile, whilst removing any reference to WWE from his bio, with it also worth noting that his latest tweet is 3 waving hand emojis, potentially waving bye to the company. According to Fightful, McIntyre has around 9 months left on his current deal, with the two parties far apart on terms during the recent renegotiations. Wade Keller has added that there has been talk that he is unhappy in his current situation in WWE, with this said to be caused by a mix of creative and money. This week it was reported by Fightful Select that AEW are preparing for a CM Punk return, with the June 1st episode of Dynamite in Chicago the likely destination for the spot. It was also noted that at one point a meeting was scheduled between Punk and Chris Jericho, who have had their fair share of real-life disagreements as of late. On last night's edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer would reveal what he knows about the meeting and confirmed, "There is a meeting, I don't know exactly when it is, and it's coming up soon. I know it involves Chris Jericho and Tony Khan, and CM Punk, and FTR, and there may be others in there as well. It's coming up, and I guess the idea is to resolve everything, or attempt to resolve everything." On top of this, there has been attempts to set up a meeting between CM Punk, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks, whose issues have been key to recent events, although right now there is no word on if this is happening. This follows reports that the Second City Saint is willing to move on and work with the Elite. Well, last night, the Elite's mascot, Brandon Cutler, would quote tweet an article that accuses CM Punk and FTR of trying to turn fans against the Elite, this by publicly stating that they want that match, only for the Elite to be blamed if it doesn't happen. As part of the tweet, Cutler would say, "Someone gets it," with this since being deleted, and Brandon has now locked his account. Meltzer would discuss the Cutler situation last night and said, "It's such a deep story with so many layers, you know. Brandon Cutler did something today which probably didn't help. You know, the one thing I'll say is that most people in the company have kept completely quiet on this, knowing that anything they say will probably be held against them in some ways. Not everybody wants to be quiet, I know that, but that's another story." Regarding the aforementioned Brandon Cutler tweets, it could mean one of two things. Either this is part of the setup for a potential feud as to stoke the flames, or the Elite want absolutely nothing to do with Punk. Either way, how CM Punk's return this June plays out on and off screen is anyone's guess. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 masked AEW wrestlers unmasked.